Man, I feel so bad for the rest of the NFL. I feel bad at this point because you guys got to deal with us again. And I feel like the rest of the NFL, the AFC, I mean, obviously, it was kind of like, okay, well, the Bengals lost Joe Burrow. They're out. We don't have to worry about them in the playoffs. The Chiefs probably are like, yeah, baby, this is our year. And everyone was so excited, right? Oh, no Bengals. Because let's be honest, the Bengals are the only teams that can take down the Chiefs. The Bengals are the team that can beat the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. The Bengals are the team that you can never count out and always does amazing and always figures out a way to win. And they did it today against the Vikings. And there was so much joy, I feel like, in the AFC thinking, okay, well, at least the Bengals are not in there. And now you got to deal with us. And not only that, man. Listen, okay? The Steelers losing. Technically, we wanted them to win for the 3%, as a lot of people pointing out down below, which is true. But also, I don't want the AFC North in the playoffs. As many AFC North teams I can get out of the playoffs, I'm happy with, right? Because, obviously, you get the Steelers out, okay? The Browns, Ravens are going to get in, no matter what. But to have 3 AFC North teams in there, the only teams that can beat the Bengals are the AFC North teams, really. So I'm happy to have those teams out of the playoffs, right? Also, we have tiebreakers with the Colts. We don't have tiebreakers with the Steelers. Even if we beat them next week, it's head-to-head, and then after that, it's division, and we lose our division. So at least the Colts we have a head-to-head record with that we beat, so we have it over them. So technically, according to the playoff simulator, it's 3% Steelers would have won, but we have a tiebreaker over the Colts, who now have the same record as us, rather than a tiebreaker over the Steelers. I mean, Colts actually won less, but a tiebreaker over the Steelers, which we wouldn't win because of the divisional record. But anyway, going back to this. The Lions threw 5 touchdowns, 278 yards. And Gibbs even had 100 rushing yards and a touchdown. Monmouth St. Brown, 112 yards and a touchdown. They absolutely put it to the Denver Broncos. They destroyed them on Sunday Night Football. And if it went for a late touchdown by both teams, this game would have been 35-10. It is insane to say this, that everything is going our way in such a perfect fashion that, what's funny is, like, I don't really go into the whole scripted narrative of the NFL, because I don't think the NFL is scripted, personally. I don't. But it's almost to a point where it feels kind of like it's a scripted Super Bowl for the Bengals to win and get their first Super Bowl. I mean, I'm just saying, Jake Browning comes in after Joe Burrow goes down with injury, a guy who's never played in the NFL before, never done anything, and then he starts winning, getting the job done. He beats the Kansas City Chiefs. He beats the Pittsburgh Steelers. He beats the Cleveland Browns. They get to the playoffs. He goes and wins the Super Bowl. It's kind of feeling a little bit scripted, but it's not obviously scripted. But everything is going our way. I mean, again, like I said, Colts here. Bam. In this simulation, they actually had the Colts. We need the Colts to win. But again, like I said, different simulations are different things. The Broncos losing now, we go up to 37%, but it would be 40% in different simulations. Again, like I said, simulations. If I click on simulations again, it might brings up to 39%. Pretty much how the simulations work is every time I click simulation, you have to keep in mind, I'm only looking at this based on our win today and 2 other games, right? So there is 224,595 different outcomes that could have happened that would put us at a 39% chance to make the playoffs. So, for example, a simulation could be the Bears win this week. Another simulation is the Browns win. One simulation is the Bears win and then the Packers win. The Bears win, then the Bucks win. The Browns, you guys understand what I'm saying, right? So that's why when it comes to chances to make the playoffs, until you put every single team in and every single thing is 100%, it's not technically accurate when it comes to like the percentages. It says if everything goes correctly, 39% chance to make the playoffs. Hopefully that makes sense. But again, like I said, if tomorrow the Bears beat the Browns, I'm kind of thinking this might be scripted completely. Because Titans going to beat the Texans. You already know that because C.J. Stroud's out of the game. They have no C.J. Stroud. Cowboys will beat the Bills. That's going to be obvious. Dolphins will beat the Jets. Chiefs will beat the Patriots. Ravens most likely will beat the Jaguars. I mean, we're talking about a 48% chance to make the playoffs after this week. And I truly believe we'll beat the Steelers after watching them against the Colts today. And then we see a 74% chance to make the playoffs. I mean, we're literally chilling here. And then the Chargers, who just fired their coach, who always teams play better after firing their head coach when their head coach sucks. We're currently sitting at 78% up to an 80% chance depending on what happens. Like, it is almost to a point where I can say it's like scripted, but it's insane, man. It's absolutely insane. And, you know, credit to all the guys today, the whole team, every single player for getting this win today. Because this win has propelled us so far in the future. And then the Lions game going correctly, the Colts game going correctly. So many things, so many factors. One different factor happens and everything changes. And instead, everything is going perfect. And every time a team that's on the fringe, like the Steelers or the Colts, or obviously, yes, the the Broncos, every time they lose, it means one more game that we could technically mess up and still make the playoffs. So, for example, it means one more game, like, you know, we could lose to the Chiefs and still make the playoffs. We could lose to the Browns and still make the playoffs. It's all these factors every time something goes correctly. Like, for example, you know, the Bears beat the Browns. If that happens, then that means one more game we could potentially lose, or we could get the 5th seed. If that happens, we could get the 5th seed. We could take control of the 5th seed. And the same concept applies to all these games. Patriots beat the Broncos. We're guaranteed pretty much the 5th seed at that point. Not guaranteed, but we're getting there guaranteed. Like, again, all these things, all these factors going into everything. It's crazy to say this, but, you know, it's like everything is scripted perfectly for us right now. And listen, okay, we're definitely 100% going to make the playoffs. That's not a question in my mind right now. But again, we have to think about when we get there. Because we're going to have to play a wild card. We're going to have to play divisional and a championship and then a Super Bowl, okay? That's 4 games we have to win in a row. Which is going to be tough. It will be. Without Joe Burrow, that's going to be very tough. But keep in mind one thing. If we're 5th seed, we could potentially, not wild card weekend, but divisional round, we could potentially host a playoff game. Which is insane to say that. I mean, again, 5th seed. Let's see. So, 1 bye week, right? 2 plays 7. 3 plays 4. So, 3 plays 4. 5 plays 6. No, wait. 1 bye week. 2 plays 7. 3 plays 6. 4 plays 5. Yes. So, we would have to... 6 would have to win. If 6 and 7 won and we won, if all the wildcard teams won and they knocked off 2, 3, and 4, we would technically host a wildcard game. Because 1 would play 7 and we would play 6, and that means whoever 6 is, the Browns, for example, it would be in Cincinnati, we'd be playing them. And again, I have to put this out there for purposes. If the Jags win this week, right? The 49ers win next week. The Dolphins win the week after that. Then the Steelers beat the Ravens in the final week of the season. Okay? We win out. Side note here. We're now the number 2 seed. Let's say the Dolphins lose this week to the New York Jets. Crazy games happen, right? I'm just going to say, Dolphins lose next week too to the Cowboys. We're now number 1 seed. Things can change that quickly. And now we have a bye week and then a playoff run to our Super Bowl. We're only getting started, guys. We're only getting started. And you know what? This journey is going to be a beautiful one. It's not over till the fat lady screams. Guess what? I haven't became a woman yet. We Gucci. Who dey? Who dey, boys? Who dey?